Exploring the unknown. From conspiracies to mysteries, you are entering the conspiracy sector.
Well, welcome everyone to this very special program. I am your host, Aubrey Batchelor. Sailing this amazing ship of knowledge with me is Chris Jacobs, and you are entering the conspiracy sector. Well, we have a good one planned for you today. Have you ever hiked in a national park? Do you love a good adventure? Do you love taking in nature's beauty? That's all fine and dandy. I love, Chris, I've been on many adventures together, some of them more minor than major, but still, nature has incredible beauty, but nature always also has incredible danger. And you always have to be spot on whenever you're in the bush, whenever you're in the wilderness, doing whatever it is you're doing. Hiking, mountain climbing, camping, sightseeing, bird watching, however simple or major it may be, you always have to be on your heels at all times in the wilderness because, a simple thing like if you're on a 5-day hiking camp adventure expedition, if you get a simple sliver, could get infected in a couple of days, and you could find yourself in a world of hurt. Just something. I guess the basis of the story, something simple could turn into something major with a snap of a finger. And today we are going to be talking about a series of folks who have been fortunate or very unfortunate when it comes to vanishing in national parks or the vast wilderness that's out there in the world. Some of them have been very, 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 very strange. And people like David Paulides with the missing 411 phenomenon has dove deep into it. And many of you are probably aware of his work. And we're going to dive into some of those cases and some other mysterious wilderness vanishings and possible theories behind such said vanishings. I don't want to, jump the gun here or anything, but just because there's all these scary stories, that are out there, don't let them strike fear into you from avoiding nature's beauty and everything that's out there. That's just fear mongering like anything. But just have a good head on your shoulders, be smart at all times, and use your survival instincts to stay alive and have a good time out there. But Chris, you're down in Arizona. Have you heard of anything, when it comes to missing search, a missing person search at a national park or anything like that recently down there?
Not necessarily just recently, but over time, especially in the Grand Canyon here, there have been missing people cases in the Grand Canyon. The thing of it is, with these missing people cases, they always seem to almost align up with either cave systems across the United States or they align to military facilities across the United States. A couple famous cases were people that disappeared down here in Arizona and in New Mexico, whereas they reappeared days later, saying that they had been abducted by military and they had escaped. There was also in Dulce, New Mexico.
Oh yes,
where there's a base that people see weird stuff around there, and they say people disappear around there. What's happening is the military is abducting them, and they're being taken to bases where different corporations do experiments on them. This is where some of the things are going. This I know for a fact is true. But the missing cases also in the Grand Canyon. There's different types of cryptids such as darker dogmen that are taking people, Draco reptilians, and unfortunately there are degenerated Sasquatch out there too. Not many, but but there are some doing it. The forest people wanted me to reiterate, since I brought them through not too long ago, they wanted me to reiterate that they're not doing it. They're being set up. They're being set up by different military that's actually wearing like a suit to make themselves look like forest people. But there are some degenerated ones out there that
kind of like a chameleon suit. Is it something similar to that, or?
Yeah, it's like basically you're dealing with corporations that can actually do the makeup properly and do the hair and do all this other stuff, and you're dealing with military that can literally grab people on a whim and take them. They wanted to completely set up the forest people. That doesn't mean that certain cryptids aren't participating in it. Like evil ones that aren't participating in it, like any humans that do evil things. But with this, it was mainly and mostly military that were taking that form, or basically adding the makeup. There was a ghost case I ran into about maybe a year or so ago, that there was a ghost that came to me in a dream state, or several of them, that said that military had abducted them and they died in a military facility during experimenting. And one of which, as he was returning on a kayak down the Colorado River, him and his brother got out of a canoe or a kayak and saw these, what they thought were creatures coming out of the water. It turned out these were like a paramilitary unit that were grabbing them. It was a form of disinformation, essentially, that they were showing themselves as like a forest person. But the ones that people that have escaped from these places have said, yeah, that's where the missing people are going, because they spotted people they recognized from the missing persons. So missing persons list. So that's a major thing that's happening right now. That's why you see a lot of the clusters of the missing people, again, by caves and by openings to military bases and where known military bases are. And that's what's going on with that. And it's a major thing that's actually still happening right now. One other way is dimensional like holes and portals that people fall through, and gateways. And they'll fall into these and then find themselves somewhere else in another time, in another place, and then missing person here.
That's some of the strangest missing 411 cases, and that's what I meant in the beginning when I said some of these very unfortunate people, these sorry saps, that, and I think I have bad luck on a daily basis. But could you imagine walking through whatever portal or hole? I imagine they exist. They exist. Look at our background; they're in space out there. What says that there ain't microscopic sized versions of them here on Earth that we can step into and be sucked into? I've heard crazier things. I really have. But some of these strangest cases of missing 411 have been to where it looks like you're out completely in the middle of nowhere, and it could be a little kid that has scaled a couple of mountain, a mountain range, a little kid, and then it just looks like, boom, he vanished in this one spot. A pile of clothes is found, like he vanished out of his clothes. What the hell?
That's alien abduction right there. Where they just beam you out, or portal. Yeah, exactly.
Some things go through, some things get left behind.
I've heard of that before, where there was a case. This was a very weird one. This is another Arizona one that came up years ago, where this woman was standing outside with her 4-year-old son, and then all of a sudden he vanished, like right next to her, just gone. And I would say about 2 weeks later or so, he was found dead in the Grand Canyon, up on a high area where no human could get to.
And see that, and I know Dave Pilates in particular, when he's searching for his missing 411, he has to meet a certain criteria. And some of the time it's like strange criteria, like it could be like it's the old. There's like certain dispositions that are targeted towards certain people, or like it's little kids that just vanish out of the blue right beneath their parents' eyes, underneath their parents' nose and eyesight, vanish out of the blue. Or older people too are targeted, and then the activities like berry picking and things like that are prime activities for people to go missing. It's just weird. I don't know. It just, and apparently people that have like a genetic advantage with certain traits are more likely to be or more likely to have this happening to them. It's just kind of odd with the research that he's done in his career with this, to come up with the criteria that he has. But a lot of them have been very, very, very strange. And the clusters you're talking about, you're in prime territory more so than I am, obviously. Grand Canyon over there, that's a prime one. Yosemite, not too far away from you, that's another prime one.
The Yosemite, that was an interest. There was a
Rocky Mountain, I guess, is close to me, and that's one of the others. Those three right there are probably America's, USA's top three, probably largest missing 411 clusters, possibly, I would say.
Because there's facilities and alien activity in a lot of those different places. What happened, there was another guy, this usually the information comes from people that have escaped situations like this, where there was a guy who was out in Yosemite, and he figured he'd go out further in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Yosemite, and he went to lean against a rock, to fix his shoe or something, and he fell right into a chamber through like a holographic, mask on the rock wall, and he fell to the ground. He looked up, and there's like about 6 grays looking at him, and it's like, and he managed to get out of there. They chased him a little bit, and he managed to get out of there. But he said he fell through the rock wall, and what that is a group of aliens can take like a holographic, like construct of some kind of like the holodeck on Star Trek, and they can insert that in a solid object and make a room, and then they can literally fold that back up and take it with them. And that's what happened to this guy.
Now, I'm going to pick up what you're laying down. Let's just pretend that we're going to play Indiana Jones here. You're over here on the globe. I'm going to fly over here, somewheres where I'm on land over here in Russia. And the Dyatlov Pass incident, I always like to go to that as a possible 411. This is over on the other side of the globe, but still. And possibly what you're saying, was it military? Was it a creature? There is the Dyatlov Pass incident to me. I will say that is probably the top 3 most definitely group adventurists, hiking expedition disappearance in the history of the world. I would go, if you can understand that, for a group of people to go out and vanish or to have happen what happened to them in a mysterious way. I would say that it's one of the strangest group friend adventure vanishings that you could have, probably. And was it the military covering something up illicit and evil? Was it a natural incident like an avalanche? Was it a creature feature of something up there, a abominable snowman possibly? But if I remember correctly, Dyatlov incident, the mountain or whatever they were crossing or camping on, I think it means like Hell's Pass or something, or Devil's Pass. And and see, that was the other association too with missing 411. All these particular landmarks with the name Devil or Hell or all these landmarks that are associated with an evil like saying or name. And many natives have said throughout legends of history throughout their generations of peoples, avoid these such said lands, with these such said places that have these events and supernatural phenomenon back in the day happening to them. I really heed warning with some of these places. They get those names for a reason. Number one, they look intimidating. That's the number one perception. Number 2, in my mind, there's been a lot of shit that's happened there, and they deserve that name, so respect those places. And you really want to widen up that survival keen feeling within you and really adapt every sense to where, you're in these type of areas. But I thought that was another weird trait, is just all these, names that are associated with the devil, basically, where people go missing. That's a weird.
What's interesting though about that is in those places where they say, "Oh, Devil's Pass," or Satan this or Devil that. I found out it's also associated with certain openings to the inner earth where you have different reptilian species that can abduct people as well. And essentially reptilian, some of them have horns, like the classic demon. Some of them are red and orange and live in some of these old volcanic tubes and everything, which are in public or which are in national parks. They even here in Prescott Valley, there's a series of volcanic tubes that go through here. And this is why demons are always said to smell of sulfur, because Draco reptilians travel through the volcanic tubes. But back to the Dyatlov Pass incident, that what I found interesting about this, the final reports of the people before they actually died horrifically were saying that they were seeing Yeti in the area and they were becoming very aggressive.
And I've read certain reports that there was weird lights in the sky. That I think that was in one of their journals. Reported in the sky. And other hikers and campers a couple of miles away reported the same incident, lights in the sky. So, I mean, it's just crazy. It's a weird incident.
Weird. And also the weirdness of it, all the people's tongues were removed too. And I came to find out there are certain tribes out there that will, as a statement, remove
Yeah.
the person's tongue. So
That was the other theory. There was like a certain, it wasn't there, yeah, like a certain tribes people that was in the area, but they were
Mhm.
deemed probably unresponsible from.
They wouldn't go up as high up because they were afraid of the flashing lights and everything. They wouldn't go up there.
Probably afraid of Hell's Pass too, or whatever it was named.
Oh yeah. We have stuff here based on the history. We have like Bloody Basin and stuff like that here in Arizona. But yeah, Horse Thief Basin, stuff like that. So yeah, they get a reputation based on what's around. Just like out on the west or on the East Coast, excuse me, a place called Kill Devil Hills. That is it's a really cool place. It's old pirate territory out there. And I found out, thinking, okay, this is a weird name. I have to look this up. And it took me hours to find this, but there was an obscure story. It goes back to Reptilian again, where there was a guy that took a demon on the beach, buried him up to his shoulders, and chopped his head off and burned the rest with fire. And it became Kill Devil Hills.
And see, it's amazing how these somewhat pretty places can get a notorious name that people might not be aware of. One, like such a legends that get this name ascribed to them. One that we all did. People were even having church service here. Nice Sunday, beautiful morning, nice, calm, cool breeze. Preachers preaching a good service. Everybody's getting into it. And then next week, a guy murders his 7 sisters in those same hills. Seven Sisters Road. Where we did.
There you go. It gets those creepy names, and those creepy names then equate oftentimes to missing people. At times, it all tends to bind together. Yeah, it tends to follow each other very closely. I've followed that pattern for some time. Not only mysterious places like with, say, vortexes like Sedona. Some people have popped up missing here. And there's a big military base right under Sedona, Arizona, too. So it's all seems to be inclusive together.
And I don't know if you've done too much research into his work, but I know he was a big adamant about it. When you said Dulce, I got excited as hell. Phil Schneider. Do you ever remember hearing about him?
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, to look up some old videos of him. He was, I don't know about his revelations. A lot of people think he got silented, basically.
And also the thing it is with Dulce, though, there's also an incident called the Battle of Dulce, where
he talked about that.
Yeah, and where some military were drilling into a space and then went down and found some aliens there that started shooting at him.
And that's what he was saying. He said that his hand, like his injuries, were from that incident. You'll have to try to find that old video. If I find it, I'll try to look for it here at the end of the show. Maybe play a snippet of it. I haven't seen it forever, like 5 years probably, but it's like that classic coast to coast call with that guy calls in, all scared. Whenever he's telling you the story, you kind of get the chills feeling that's similar to that. Even though I think that call, a lot of people I heard say that one notorious call was deemed fake or something. Well,
I believe that was Art Bell, not Coast to Coast. That was Art Bell.
Yeah. Well, Art. Yeah. Well, yeah. C2C OG, Coast to Coast, original gangster.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I heard that show live. This was back in '97 when that snowstorm hit Nebraska. Really bad snowstorm hit Nebraska, and we were using an old transistor radio. I heard that live when it happened. That particular incident when we were listening to Art Bell, and that I heard it exactly when it happened. It happened in October of '97 is when that happened.
Sweet.
I knew that because the snowstorm was October '97, so I remember that. We were listening to this live, and then Art Bell's studio got shut down, and then he came back, and everybody knew the guy was dead.
And I would have to guess that there'd been about 5 or 6 viewers across the nation that probably had to change their underwear.
Yeah, that happened. That broadcast everywhere. We heard that, and we're like, we knew the guy was killed after that. We knew he was dead. When we were listening to that, we're like, oh my God, that's creepy.
What a strange, strange. Let me get into this a little bit. Let me get up into here. Can you see that now?
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Boom. All right. Well, behold, everybody. This is from historicmysteries.com, and it's an article by Lachlan McLeekland. Sometimes I butcher names. Oh well, who doesn't?
Oh, I do that too. I butcher all sorts of names.
Nature can be a cruel mistress, just like what we was talking. Beneath its beauty lies an underbelly of primal fear for some of those who dare venture too deep. Since the beginning of humankind, we have endeavored to explore the realms of our wilderness, but in the process, many have failed to return. In recent history, a bizarre phenomenon has been growing. This is the perplexing mystery of the many hundreds of thousands of missing 411 cases. And like I said, many of us are familiar with 411 cases. And here's a certain criteria: the disappearance occurred in a national park, rural area, large reserve of public land. Exceptionally odd circumstances surround the disappearance. Mental illness or voluntary disappearance does not appear to be the cause. The term 411 actually has its origins in an inconspicuous computer term that refers to data that cannot be found or a corrupted link. It is certainly an apt metaphor for the state of these individuals who have vanished. Missing 411 investigators by David Paulides. Missing people in the USA or across the world are an unfortunate but regular occurrence. In fact, with as many as 90,000 people declared legally missing in America at any given time, it is hard to ignore the issue. However, stories of missing 411 victims do not take place only in rural areas. Dave Paulides, an investigator who spent 20 years of his life as a police officer, has uncovered a number of puzzling trends. The vast majority of these strange disappearances occurred on clearly marked and popular hiking trails. And like we were talking earlier, the different criteria, different women and men, people are very aware of some of David Paulides' work. But as it says down here, one of the most startling of these is the mystery of 411 disappearance hotspots. And like we were saying, here's Yosemite National Park. That's the number one cluster I know, Yosemite, just because you look at like the missing 411 clusters map, which I should bring up here, and you'll see. And, obviously, you can see from all of them, this coast side is going to be.
Yeah, California coast is notorious for missing people. Yeah. Washington, too, and Washington, Oregon as well.
Oh, yeah. So Oregon, Mount Rainier, Mount Olympia.
And even around Mount Shasta, too, where some people have gone up there and been abducted as well by both military and aliens alike. So.
Yes. Holy cow. Look at this one. I didn't know the United States had chicken pox.
Yeah, that's essentially, it looks like chicken pox or measles. Yeah. Or shingles or something. Yeah.
Where's the MMR vaccine for that?
Exactly. Find a vaccine for missing
people.
Oh
my God. You know what this is? That's a new Megatron variant. The clusters of the Megatron variant. Oh Megatron my! You know what? The clusters of the new Megatron variant somehow correlate to the missing 411 clusters. In fact, they're one and the same.
They're one and the same. Or the Omega variant. Yes, Omega.
Hey, it's as easy as that. I really think all these people at the CDC need to become WWE writers, and week to week just start coming up with new show material to play everybody with.
Exactly.
Look how easy it was, everybody. We just took a missing 411 topic and turned it into information topic. As you see here, the cases up on the West Coast, according to the color, you see it's worse up there. You can see over here where it's not as red, it's not as bad. Genius. Is left, and right.
Exactly. With this, even down here in Arizona, there have been, you can see down there, there's not a big cluster as there up in Washington. This is also why they associated a lot with Sasquatch, because Sasquatch are mainly covered in the upper northwest, but they're not responsible for this. They're just being blamed essentially for this by the people actually doing it.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
That's the missing 411 cluster. Let me go back here real quick for you. And look at that. Ain't that pretty? Look at that picture from
And also, yeah, don't be discouraged anybody by wanting to go out in nature. Life is also about taking risks too. And also going out and enjoying nature. So don't be afraid to go out of your house. This is the same as it is with COVID as it is with nature. Don't be afraid to go into nature. Nature usually can fix a lot of life's little problems. Just don't be afraid you're going to get kidnapped out in nature either.
Yeah. And like he's saying, not only do we have all these unknowns to worry about, but the biggest creature to worry about in this world, other humans.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. That's exactly what you got to be concerned about, like the susceptible to this programming. I'm not dumping on people that are afraid and all this other stuff. That's not what I'm doing. It's essentially those that were so programmed, they're participating like these military people are in the kidnapping. They're so trained and programmed in kidnapping these people and sending them to these corporations. They're not questioning, and you always have to question everything. Question what's going on. Keep digging, finding out, questioning, and looking for answers for these things.
And you're damn right you do. And like we're doing right now, simple conversations like this. And you talk about synchronicity. Look what's right in between all this. I was just going to talk about a couple of cases. You may also like the mysterious Dyatlov Pass student deaths in the Urals.
Oh, wow. That's there you go. We were just talking about that.
Yeah, there's a hyperlink. It was a Ural Mountains is what it was. Yeah.
Ural Mountains. Okay.
Let me go over just a couple of cases here that are kind of strange. Many of you may have heard of this one. And this is the Yosemite cluster of cases, a couple from Yosemite. Stacy Aris was a 14-year-old girl on a horse riding trip with her father and several other friends in Yosemite National Park. What was likely a picturesque and enjoyable ride over the stunning wilderness of Yosemite became a nightmare for the Aris family. After arriving at the Sunrise High Sierra camp, Stacy cleaned up and decided to take a walk. The young girl asked both her father and another member of the party to join her, but was denied their company. She made it clear that her walk was only down to a nearby lake in order to take some photographs and stretch her legs. The lake was nearby within earshot of the site, and the area was not known for any instances of animal predation. Thus, her father likely thought little of his daughter's actions. However, once embarked on a short walk, Stacy Aris was never seen again. After a comprehensive and thorough search lasting 9 days with over 100 people, sniffer dogs, and helicopters, nothing more than a lens cap of her camera was ever found. So many of it is just here 1 second, gone the next. And I know it can be a dark reality for death, in general, but for, just going out on a hike and never being seen again, or, no trace of you, no footprints, no sniffer dog trail. It's just strange, a lot of these stories. And
they happen. They've been happening for a very, very long time. The missing persons cases have been happening since antiquity too.
And I think even more so for me, one of the ones that's strangest, even like we talked about, like the whoever maybe possibly walking into a portal and clothes being left behind. But the ones that gets me is it could be a certain instance or a certain search where they search this one area that will be searched like literally dozens or even hundreds of times by many people. And then 2 or 3 years later, the person or whoever they were looking for will be found in that same general area that had been searched those dozens or hundreds of times. And to me, that is just about as strange as can be. How can a body not be there, but 2 years later be there? To me, I don't know.
It was deposited back. Sometimes aliens will do this. They'll deposit the body back in the spot where they took it from when they're done with it. Also a means to scare people. But here, do you want to hear a really creepy incident that happened to my mother and I? When we in 2003, we were coming down to New Mexico, via coming down from Nebraska, going down through Kansas. And when we hit Kansas, we hit a like a little rest stop area, and we saw this SUV or SUV like Jeep like vehicle that was sitting there with the driver door open. And we saw the lights were on the top of the vehicle and everything. Nobody around. Nobody was in the bathroom of the little rest stop. Nothing. Nobody. And we figured, okay, this is pretty creepy. We left this. We went down to New Mexico. A week later, we come traveling back up there. The same vehicle is sitting there. All the battery is dead in the vehicle. nobody around, and we
What
knew
the
we knew
hell?
this guy had been taken. We knew he was a missing person at that point, or the person was a missing person at that point. When we saw that, that was creepy. It was at this rest stop by this bog that had these dead trees kind of growing out of it, and it was just a rest stop building there. It was just this Jeep that had the one door open. For it was like a week later, and it was still nobody there to come back to it, and nobody had found it either. It was like the cops hadn't found it or anything like that. We ended up reporting it, but we didn't think, we thought, figured maybe somebody had walked away to go pee or something like that. But yeah, a week later, the door is still open, the battery of the vehicle's dead. So
Yeah, something weird definitely went down.
something weird happened to that person. Yeah.
Let me go over one more case. A couple more cases. Let me see. Then this is Timothy Barnes in mid-July, slightly northeast from the site where the mysterious man's body was discovered. 20 years earlier, Timothy Barnes vanished, similar to the Jeff Estes case, even after meticulous search efforts. Not a shred of evidence surfaced. These 4 instances exemplify the strange anomaly within missing 411 cases, particular hotspots. And all these came, I guess these were all found in the same area, the Mystery Man and Jeff Estes. The Mystery Man, in early August, a man's body turned up in a crevasse located within Tenure Peak. This is a site not far from the Sunrise High Sierra camp in the lake where Stacey Harris disappeared. This man has never been identified, but analysis of the body was never able to determine the cause of death. Incredibly obvious signs such as blunt force trauma or multiple broken bones that might be evidence of a fall to his death in the gorge was not present. So just a vast array of mysterious deaths. And like this, let me get down here, right here, theories, believable and bizarre. Bigfoot and other cryptids from Appalachian mythology have come into the equation of a number of times. Although many of these missing 411 cases demonstrate strange instances, the link to any mountain monsters were mere folk devil hearsay. Interestingly, UFO sightings often correlate with these hot spots, sometimes even around the same time that someone has gone missing. Theorists also propose that a serial killer, a cult sect that hunts humans, may be on the prowl. Some speculate that this may be part of some dark satanic ritual. Fringe theorists have also viewed the institutional apathy with suspicion. They propose that the missing 411 disappearances could be the result of a shadowy government program, with more people becoming aware of some of the government's irresponsible activities at the cost of citizens, such as MK Ultra. These ideas can quickly embed themselves in the minds of people desperate for answers. And I'm going to tell you something, they picked up on a good topic. Many times Bigfoot's reported with UFOs. And with all these different theories, I think they could all be going on. I think all of them could possibly be happening at different areas at different times. And just thrown into this mass weird fucking melting pot that we all live in within, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, what is very also interesting about this, I believe it's all of the above. That's actually going. It's no one thing. But out in when we were in North Carolina, Joanna and I we had done some research on some people that had gone missing in the Great Smoky Mountains, and we found out from North Carolina a place called, ironically, the Dismal Swamp. Ironically named. There's a group of cryptids out there. I call them trolls, but they're famously known as face eaters. They look like baboons, and they're fairly tall. They're taller than Sasquatch. They're about maybe 11, 12, 13 feet high, 15 feet high, and they look like big baboons. And these guys are basically barbaric, and they end up capturing some people to eat them. Essentially, they're cannibals, and they live up through the Great Smoky Mountains in that area, all the way down to the Dismal Swamp on the Appalachian Trail of North Carolina. So, or at least they did when we were there. And that's another cryptid that was reportedly responsible. Some native legends talk about the face eaters. They call them that for a reason, because they wear the face of their victims. So face, nice. So they put it together. So yeah, they call them face eater. and they're essentially this like pre-Neolithic barbaric baboon race that lives up in the Smoky Mountains, where some people have gone missing. Granted, I know there's also military activity, but I believe it's some of these creatures as well doing some of that. It's not, again, our famous forest people, Sasquatch, doing it. It's some of these other cryptids that sometimes people can't tell the beings apart. But you want to know something really odd? This is I believe this is may fall into the Mandela effect category, but this also falls into the missing people category. That's one thing that can cause missing people, by the way. There was a case up in Colorado that took place several years back where some friends of ours knew some people that owned a business up the street, and they went to them like on Christmas and everything, bought a bunch of stuff from them, all this other stuff. Well, they went one year, and all of a sudden the building was changed, and the people were gone. And they asked the people that were in there, going, "Where did our friends go? We were just speaking to them on the phone not that long ago." They're like, "Oh no, these people were never here." And they're like, "We've been here for 30 plus years." And the whole building facade was even different. The sign was different. People were completely gone. And it was like 2 or 3 new people that were in the building, disavowing any knowledge that those people ever existed. And can like paramilitary groups reconstruct like a facade and redo things inside really quickly, to create like a stage set or something like that? Yeah, but this was out in the open on a main street. So this was more a Mandela effect sort of deal. Yeah, where the people were just erased from time altogether. And this is also where time travel, like projects like Montauk come in. They could go back and rewrite a family history if they wanted to, and a whole history of things that they wanted to. And this is, or at least they did. There's some more rules associated with it now, but back then, this was about maybe 20 years ago or so. But I heard that story and I knew that was a Mandela effect thing, but that is also some missing people cases, because in one timeline you have people that remember these people, in another you have ones that didn't even know they existed at all. And it's essentially the merging of different timelines, different universes, different time fragments, fractures, and shards coming together, into our timeline. And sometimes that can erase people from history altogether as history repairs itself. And it's pretty creepy when that particular one happens. I believe this could be either Mandela effect or just plain government redaction too, and cover up. This has to also go back to the David Paulides cases. We saw a video years ago. This was back when we were again in North Carolina. This was probably about 5 years ago now. And we saw a video where David Paulides was actually talking about Sasquatch being one of the reasons for missing people. But famously, he's never said it. This is the weird part. And so we literally saw him say it, and we had one of his books we were looking in where he had a couple paragraphs about it, where he was theorizing about it. The pages in the book aren't there anymore, and the video is missing from online now. So
what the hell?
Yeah. So we saw it ourselves. And some people said I had that information wrong, that he'd never said it, but I can't find the information anywhere because it's been redacted both etherically and physically. So it's gone. It's completely gone.
I've had troubles doing that and trying to find some old newsreels behind a lot of these supposed false shootings and faked news scandals throughout this last decade, different ones. And things of that nature, but I can't find them anymore. The worst one in my mind was that Virginia news anchor and his girlfriend. I can't even watch it. It is so horrible. I've never seen anything. So we'll get into that sometime. I don't want to digress too much. Makes me sick. Sometime we'll have to have a special show about
some of how
manipulation and deception. Manipulation and deception. There's certain. I don't want to trigger the certain bots and Al Gore rhythms that might get me punted out into left field.
The triple pun there. Yes.
Yeah. And, things like suffocation in today's world. Yes. Oh, there's Penny. She's had to come in and say hi. I just almost knocked the microphone out of the table. What's that there, big girl? But no, it's getting sickening, some of that stuff, and that's why we have to flock out to the wilderness now, and that's why I expect to be, I guess, that's why there's been an influx of missing persons cases, because people are so fed up with everything. They've been flocking to get away out into nature, because
Flocking
they're
to get away
tired.
and looking indoors.
They're tired of having to wear a mask, and they're tired of being told what to do. So more people will treat it.
Yeah, and then those are the people that these government assholes focus on first, are the ones that come out ahead of it. This is why strategy is needed now as well. Extreme strategy, and you got to think your way through this and feel your way through this and know when to stand up and when to kind of use strategy and some workarounds out there. I mean, I'm not a fan of workarounds, but you don't want to come up as missing either, and you don't want to put a unnecessary target on you as well.
No, you can put a target on you. You want me to give you some darts? That way you can try to throw and hit a bullseye.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, that's been going on now. Yeah, that's why there's been an upsurge in missing person cases, because people are investigating this stuff more. But eventually, it's got to reach critical mass to where they can't cover it up any longer.
The teeter-totter tipping point.
Yeah, it's got to reach a tipping point at some point, and people are already noticing it. When you're at the point where people are noticing it and talking about it like we are, the other side's lost. They're done at that point. And they just keep doing it like what they're doing with what's going on now. Yeah, exactly.
You said it, and I hope that we see more revelation when it comes to some of these strange disappearances, but I don't know if we will. When it comes to, I guess, national park disclosure, and I understand that there's certain things that you might want to keep secret. I know, I get that, but this vast archive cover up, I don't know what to call it, more so than anything than that.
Yeah, and you needed to come out after all. Of course, I realize there's certain things that would take quite a few years to come out, but some of these things do, like the missing people. At least, they'll at least give like some families closure in that respect.
Let me go over here real quick. I'll show you some info. Let me go here. Now this is the missing. This is a graph here. Missing persons cold cases at U.S. national parks. So this just kind of picking up off what you're laying down here. Here's some numbers. According to this, and like I said, this is just cold cases, not missing 411. So this is a different category, but you can add this. Just combine all these different categories and you'll get the bigger picture, I guess, per se. Yosemite has 11. Grand Canyon has 5. So there's those two right off the bat, like we were talking earlier. And missing 411, they lead the category, and they also lead the category for cold cases. So in my mind, if you want to better your odds of survival, probably avoid those two.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. But they're also trying to get people not to go back into nature, to be afraid to go into nature, because nature fights a lot of the other things that are going on.
Oh, it does. Yeah. And they want people afraid and inside their houses and relying on the government and relying on Big Brother and Big Sister. Big Brother, Big Sister. So that'd be BG. You know who that is. Bill Gates.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's one of them that purports the whole.
We'll just start calling him Billy Goat from now on.
Billy Goat. Yeah, there you go. We say Billy Goat.
BG. Hey, the number one doctor for every single person's health in the entire world, and nobody gives a damn.
Exactly.
Hey, let Bill Gates make the decision for every single mouth in this entire world, and it'd probably be okay.
Yeah, the same thing with Fauci, him too.
Oh yeah. Believe everything that they say. I don't think. People like Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci, I don't think they have. People like them can't lie. They've never said one lie in their entire life. Chris, do you know one person that has never said one fucking lie in their entire life?
Not a one.
They are so full of shit, is absolutely sickening. I mean,
Yeah.
it's absolutely sickening. If we are lucky, they'd be the ones to go out here and meet this missing 411 criteria. And I don't mean to say that to sound rude, but get them out of here. But it's stupid idiots like the general population, like you and I, that are keeping them in here. So yes, I gotta hate. I shouldn't say hate. I guess I gotta look at them and shake my head and question their common sense first.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Wake up.
Yeah, yeah, we always we try not to be frustrated with the way people are, but at times we're just going, oh shit, because
it's so damn sickening and stupid. I mean, absolutely everything about COVID is back ass backwards. I mean, everything about it is deceptive, manipulative, evil. Nothing about it is genuine. We're gonna have a special episode about that next.
Oh yeah, I think that'd be good to show what it
Especially
actually
after
is.
more time goes by. And mark my
Yeah.
words, I already tell you, call me predicting the future here.
Mhm.
Seriously, everybody, wake the hell up. I don't mean to digress here, but I guess we already did.
Yeah, I guess we did regress a little bit, but yeah.
Here's the thing. The UK, Boris Johnson and his wild ass hair has already said, we're not going to require a mask. We're not going to require the vaccine. There's one world government right there that's already done playing pandemic. They're done playing pandemic, I feel. And there's the teeter-totter effect towards the end of the virus. I know Fauci's already said and I'm paraphrasing, said in an interview over his thousands of bullcrap interviews where he contradicts himself. He contradicts himself millions of times in his thousands of interviews, if I can say it kindly like that.
Yeah, if anybody that was being interrogated by the police flip-flopped as much as that man does, they'd have him in cuffs. Yeah, they'd have him in cuffs.
Yeah, it doesn't. Oh, you could be the worst detective on earth and probably still.
yeah, you could be the dumbest detective on earth and still have evidence against that man. So it's like, yeah, and this is all a ploy to get people fired up too. There's a lot of crap going on in the background they're trying to distract people from. So yeah, along with the missing people thing, they're trying to get people to look away from stuff like the missing people by distracting with this nonsense. So,
and I'm paraphrasing, but he's already said to the extent of well, with a possible variant that might not be as bad, it could bring the end of the virus. And it's so. And within the same month time, I think within the same 4 weeks time, at one point about 8 months ago, it was fine to not wear a mask. You had to wear one mask or you had to wear two, and then it was fine not to wear any again. If that doesn't sound like the shittiest show writers in Hollywood, I don't know what would. I mean, any sitcom show that is as bullcrap filled as this would only last a season. And for some damn reason,
we've seen
this is on like
before.
season fucking 8070, and it just keeps being renewed for another contract, as horrible as it is.
Yeah, we've seen this horrible TV show and/or movie before, so it's like, yeah. So I've seen.
I guess to put a whole cap on this, we didn't really digress at the end of the day. So you know what you do to avoid all this bullshit? You go out into nature and you relax, and you just make sure nothing happens to you out there. But you'll be able to take a big deep breath out there, and you'll be able to I guess I can stop streaming on that. And hey, here we're talking all good while I got cold case picture everybody can view. Here, look at this while we talk, everyone.
Lord.
But I guess what you can do is you can go out into these wilderness parts and you can really enjoy yourself thoroughly and try to de-stress and relax and avoid the bullshit that we're all filled in and bombarded with in today's world. But just take care of yourself out there and make sure that you're aware at all times, I guess I can tell you, and don't become a missing 411 statistic.
Yeah, don't be a walking crime victim, as my father likes to say, or walking statistics. So yes,
Mhm.
exactly. I'll also see who wants to come in for this show too. It's the energies recently have been rather crappy. So
Chaotic.
yeah, so yeah, more than likely it'd be Isaac. So let's see.
Perfect.
So yeah, he would be perfect because of the fact that he himself is in one of these military facilities. So it's like
Nice.
yeah, he works not that far from this location actually here in Arizona. So
Nice.
and he's telepathic. I've actually seen the man in person a couple times. So I've actually seen him from a distance. So
I remember you were telling me that he had military like work when we
hmm.
were talking one time.
Yeah, and yeah, one time
Hey.
saw him in a Best Buy at the customer service desk, from a distance, and another time was out in public. So yeah, no, there's one of your doggies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're starting to fight, so I got to separate
okay,
them.
all right. Let's see here, Isaac. Yeah, nobody else seems to be showing up. So let's see. Yes, I know you're the last pick. I understand, but okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, he's just giving me shit. So let's there. Let's see. All right, there we go. Yes, this is indeed Isaac, and yes, I do work around some of these different facilities. Even the one that's in Hawaii, I worked around for a short time. What is being said on the show is entirely accurate with the missing 411 and the different circumstances they're in by which these different poor unfortunate people, and in some cases it's actually the opposite, have gone missing. There are some people that have just chose to retire out of society, you see, and have actually gone into a different dimensional state themselves. This has happened many times in history, whereas people have gone into their own private bubble and their own private consortium of people, you see, and then have become missing, lost, or what have you, like the lost tribes of Israel, for instance. They chose to just go away in society and go into their own bubble, and they are still around to this day. There are other tribes that have said to go missing, such as certain Mayan groups, the Anasazi, all of those types of groups. They did not necessarily disappear, but only from the perspectives of other humans. You see, some went into the inner earth, while others drifted into their own bubbles. Some even left the planet, you see. So these are things that are actually going on. The ones that are extremely unfortunate are those that are being abducted and either programmed and put back, or being abducted and never returning. These are very, very bad cases that have to come to light. The more that it is spoken about, the more it brings the limelight to the forefront, you see, in that case. So I can go into questions if you like.
Yes, hello. With the possibility of portals on this earth, where do they go, or where does a person go if they walk into one? What are the theories behind, like people walking into portals with those vanishings and disappearances?
Is actually quite interesting in some cases because they go into different time frames, or they could go into other dimensions or onto other planets. You see, this world used to be a one of the hubs of a portal nexus many hundreds of thousands of years ago for galactics and elementals alike, and some of those remnants still exist to this day. As that network begins to heal itself, Earth becomes more of a hub and a centrus once again. You see. And these portals are opening to vast array of planets that used to be part of a vast empire, you see, in space. So they are falling to some of these outposts in other planets, as well as other times, especially when you're dealing with things like the Montauk Project, and other government projects where they're opening portals, and they end up opening on the surface rather than within the base construct or some kind of box that they put the portals within to go to a different dimension. Think the show Stargate, folks, in that particular way, but with a less stable version of a portal that could pop up on the surface or envelop somebody within their own home, and then suddenly they're vanishing. Now, one of the other type of cases is one he talks about quite often is the secret space program, you see, where people are abducted through time and returned to the exact moment of their abduction. But what if that person dies out there in space during their 20, what is known as their 20 and back? That means they vanish here and they are a missing person. This does indeed take place, but also there are famous cases where people have slipped through time portals and have ended up being a major figure in some part of history. This is also taking place within people's lifetimes, even in the 20th century and 21st centuries.
Why is there very interesting? Why is there many times Bigfoot is reported sighted with UFOs? And to me, those are some of the strangest UFO sightings is when Bigfoot's reported alongside of them. Why is that?
This is actually two things that are happening. One, some of the ones you call grays and other groups are abducting them just like they abduct yourselves, you see. In other cases, there are more advanced Sasquatch groups known as the Anakam Elders and their family lineages that actually get into the spaceships themselves and actually fly them. They are in some cases very technologically advanced. There are some more like yourselves and some that are very technologically advanced, and some that you see slipping into orbs as well. Those orbs are actually small spaceships that they're actually boarding. They're not transmuting into the orbital form, except in some really advanced cases in history, but they're actually boarding a spaceship that can hold a crew of 20,000 or more. That's the size of a golf ball, you see, or slightly bigger baseball, or slightly larger. There have been basketball-sized ones as well, but just know these are spaceships that are larger on the inside, very much like your Doctor Who TARDIS, you say, that can hold an entire crew in a very, very small amount of space. It's a well-known technology that both good guys and bad guys out there in space use. It's been pirated and privatized and socialized many times in space. So there's a number of different species that use this, you see. That the reason Sasquatch are associated with UFOs is because they essentially are one and the same, either through lineage or through crew.
Interesting. Thank you. To leave everybody with a final message, if they are planning out going on trips out in the wilderness or camping or hiking or whatever expeditions and excursions that they have planned, what's the final message you want to leave everybody with?
Yes, do not be afraid to go into nature. Your current governmental bodies are trying to divide you from nature. They're trying to create a timeline whereas humans are away from nature on a permanent basis. Do not allow this in your life to be so scared that you stay within your homes. Venture out to nature, breathe free air again, and know that you are always a sovereign being that is a walking temple that belongs in the greater temple of nature, you see, and belongs out in nature to look up at the sky, look out over at the trees and down to the earth and be grounded always to the earth. This is what they are attempting to rip you away from by not only burning your nature areas that you covet, but to also say it is too dangerous to go out there, that there may be abductions abound out there, which of course there are, but this does not mean that you do not live your life. As he said, life is about taking risks. Why not risk nature? Why not risk being out in the openness of nature to become more of yourselves that you deserve to be?
Well, thank you, Isaac. That's very good. Appreciate that.
Yes, thank you both for having me on this show. Others will come onto this particular platform as well. Blessings to everyone listening, and thank you.
Blessings to you. Thank you. Pop.
Yeah, I have him come through this crystal that I have my hand on that's under here, about that big. I have them go through that for this and Interstellar Council and stuff.
Your crystal shells, your shells look cool in the background that you have decorated up.
Oh yeah, and I'll show people. I'll turn off the virtual background for 2 seconds, and I will show here.
Sweet.
And I have this Hopi vase that's back here, a big orb of rose quartz, and a variety of other orbs, quartz, and other pieces back there. There's also the piece that Isaac generally speaks through as well. That's the big skull with the pipes sticking up. That's cool. A communication edifice over there. And even that big knight statue, I've had that for a long time. So, and also the walking stick you see to the side of the shelf there is one that somebody in Ireland sent me. And there is a being by the name of Borm that speaks to it. He's an elemental that came from that area of the world. With it. Borm, Borm.
Borm. Oh.
And he's spoken on Interstellar Council a couple times, and he came with that particular staff as well. So yeah, I collect some of these artifacts from different places. And I've had to send them to sometimes in some places because they've had hauntings associated with them. So I've had to send them to haunted museums and the like in the past couple of years or so too. So sometimes an artifact will wear out their usefulness, and they get corrupted, and you have to send them somewhere.
See you later.
Yeah, and you have to get rid of things that don't serve the energetics in the moment, or else you're in for a world of hurt. So at that point. So yeah, that's where I get some of those artifacts from. And the rattle that's sitting on the top next to the knight statue, I made that one for my grandmother that passed away several years back. And I took the rattle back, and it's the one sitting up on top of the shelf there as well. So I do have a few artifacts, like the Hopi vase. I got that from our friend Viking. That's the oldest thing in the house, right there. That's an actual ancient Hopi vase that's sitting there. So that's used for an edifice for elementals to speak through. That they actually will come up almost like a genie, but a good guy, not a bad djinn or anything like that. But that's another topic we should discuss on here at some time, like different vessels, different beings speak through. I think that would be a good topic at some point. But I don't know if you have anything else to add, Aubrey, but I think
I think, I'm going to leave everybody with the same message that I always do. Be healthy, stay safe, be aware, be smart. If you are going out into the wilderness, I plan on doing a lot of hiking this year, hopefully. Nothing too hardcore, but still, like I said, it could be a simple day turned awry. You never know. But just stay aware, be keen on your senses, and be quick with your mind, and use your intuition to better yourself and put yourself in the right position, I guess. But until next time, we'll talk at you later, and be aware and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Yes, and thank everybody. You are now leaving the conspiracy sector. Bye-bye now.
Adios.